Hello everyone, welcome to Hearthstone Meta Hype. I'm Equal 100 with my friend Venga Dragon. How's it going, Venga?
Man, it is going good. It is hot as hell out today, and I am so ready to talk about this fresh new meta and the nerfs.
Yeah, so I don't really want to focus on the nerfs as much. I want to more focus on what's going to happen with the meta as a whole. But definitely, let's talk about the nerfs real quick though. Just not have be main focus because a ton came out. I think it was 8 cards in total. And I think they addressed some pretty decent stuff. What were your thoughts on the nerf, just to jump into this?
I mean, I think that they didn't address aggro as much as they could have. They are what they are. I think that there's going to be more that are coming through. And it's just kind of a preface to what's going to happen. They just want to see more playtesting and what the community comes up with for decks. So I think that's where it really is. It's kind of a half nerf. Second one coming soon.
I don't know if a second one, I mean, maybe. I think that's what happened, at least with the Demon Hunter expansion. They basically came out with like 3 sets of nerfs over the course of the expansion. But I think that this will be decent. Maybe there might be, to be fair, there might be a few more nerfs to aggro. I don't think they addressed Face Hunter enough, or Elemental or aggro, or Elemental / aggro Shaman enough. But I do think that they slowed down the control decks a decent amount. I think Flesh Giant should have been, instead of 9 mana, it should have been 10 mana, at least, maybe even 12. I was talking about this on my channel before. They have so many ways of cheating it out. Like, most of the time, Warlocks are winning without the quest. They're actually winning by just dropping Flesh Giant and then giving it Wind Fury. So, I feel like a bigger nerf to Flesh Giant would have been nice, but a 1 mana nerf will cause maybe like 2% of games, even if it's just something as small as that, to not go the way of the Warlock. But maybe they just wanted a small change like that. And that's what I think these nerfs are for. I don't think they want to have a second set of nerfs. I think they just wanted to nerf everything a little bit, reel some stuff in, without absolutely destroying the meta. Because, like, I don't know, because there are a lot of people who had fun with this meta. And this will bring me into my next point, unless you have something else to bring up as a rebuttal.
No, I'm ready. I'm ready for it. I want to hear this point because I did see the comment, and I think that the audience should talk about it. It's pretty cool.
So the comment basically is from one of my YouTube videos where I played a deck that is actually going to be a topic of this discussion, Quest Mage. And it says, I understand all the things that you're talking about are to please your audience. And honestly, you're a great content creator. I respect for that. But man, his audience is so dumb. They cry for control decks, and this Quest Mage is literally a control deck with a win condition in the form of the quest. It literally has to interact with the board to solve the quest. But I guess people just want good old, hey, look at me, I have 3 mana, I play 3 mana minion. Next turn, I play 4 mana minion. Next turn, 5 mana minion. I hope his, or Hearthstone stays like this forever. Game is so fresh now and actually fun. I made my return after 3 years. And I'm bringing this up because it brings up another perspective of people, because I've not been a fan of this meta. I thought that it was fun at the very beginning, and then I was like, oh, so this is just what the game is now. And most of the comments below this person's comment were, a control deck that wins in 6 turns seems weird to me, with also infinite value from ignites seems weird to me. And I want to hear your thoughts on it, but overall, I agree to some extent. I do think that the game is fresh now, and I do like the fact that they have a combo archetype as opposed to just like maybe 1 or 2 combo decks. I just think that I wouldn't consider this a control deck. Yeah. And I think a lot of people want to see at least a slower meta. Like, I'll let you go. I'll continue after this though.
Well, interestingly enough, I mean, when you have the part where he says that, I guess people want to just have a 3 mana minion, play 3 mana, and then Dekkster play a 4 mana minion, and turn 5 just play that. Well, I think that's where this statement goes a little bit wrong in the sense, though, is that playing a 3 mana minion on turn 3, a 4 mana minion on turn 4, and a 5 mana minion on turn 5, that's kind of more mid-range, isn't it?
That's literally not even control. His whole argument is not even about like control.
So that's a mid-range argument, right? Well, I do like to play mid-range. I do like to play control. And
And I don't.
And so let's agree though that mage in general, the class has always been about control, right? It's always
That's true.
pretty much a control class.
There have been a couple of that. There was like a Murloc mage for a while.
Yeah.
There was secret mage that was more aggressive, but for the most part, mage has been focused on control. And I don't think we should nitpick the whole 3 mana thing. I guess.
Yeah.
Like his argument is more for control decks as a whole.
Yep.
And even if he doesn't understand what a control deck is necessarily, it does bring up an interesting conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not nitpicking. I'm just saying that he's including a mid-range strategy in saying that we want to play control. So, like I do want to play control, but yeah, I would agree that the the Quest Mage is a control deck because it has the freeze, it clears boards, it has everything. It just happens to be one that can win on the turn 5 or 6. Generally, the thing is with a control deck, you're looking at like winning in a late game, which would be like even turn 11, 12, maybe 15, right? You just kind of keep yourself alive. The problem with Quest Mage is that it's just a form of control that is very, very, very powerful. The deck is extremely powerful, and it is a control deck, but it's just one that's winning on turn 6, and that's kind of not really what control traditionally has been about in Hearthstone's history.
I mean, yeah, I could see this kind of being control deck, but I still think like it's more of a combo deck.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is a control deck to some extent. And if it were in 2 categories, I would, if it was like, let's just say it was in like college, right? Majoring in combo, minoring in control. Like it is still partially a control deck. It's just the speed at which you're able to do all of this and the fact that the win condition isn't really a combo, but it's finish the quest and then just, put a few damage spells together and win. I feel like that's more similar to combo. And like the argument, at least for me, is what would you consider OTK Demon Hunter? Like you have I-Beams, Emolition Auras, a couple of other like minions and or AoE spells that can wipe the board multiple times and give you lifesteal. Like that's also kind of a control deck, but it's also mostly a combo deck.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's more of a combo because it literally has a combo, whereas Mage is just some combination of damage spells. Yeah. But yeah, like, because he's not even necessarily wrong in his statement. His mid-range discussion was wrong. He brought up the wrong cards, but the fact that it interacts with the board does make it a control deck.
That's good.
It's just not the traditional control, and I think that's what people are wanting.
Absolutely.
Like, they want to have some slower decks that are genuinely designed to try to be aggro. Because this is one of the first control decks, if you consider it control, that gets absolutely blasted by aggro. Like, you play Damage Shaman, you play Hand Paladin, assuming they don't draw one of their couple of free spells, luckily, or Face Hunter, or even Zoo Warlock. This deck is going to lose to all of those.
Yeah.
More times than not. So it's a control deck that's mostly combo and loses to aggro. So it literally goes against everything I know a control deck to be.
Yeah.
But it is still technically a control deck.
Yeah. Here's the deal, is if you look at the 3 different archetypes, if we just break them down to aggro, mid-range, and control, right? Well, aggro is what they went mid-range, right, can be broken down into token as well, or tempo, right? Like when you had tempo, that was sort of like a mid-range deck, right?
It's not like the same as aggro.
It is like a sub-archetype of each specific one. Control is the archetype which combos, OTKs, are a sub-archetype of control, right? So OTK decks, because they tend to have to assemble the pieces of their combo together, their goal is to stay alive, which is what control decks do, is your goal is to stay alive for as long as you possibly can, and then assemble your win condition. The case with the mage class here is that the win condition is assembled just way too quickly. It's assembled, everybody can get this done on like turn 7 and even be able to play their 5 mana card that they receive to complete when they complete the quest and play it out, so that there's no way to interact with it or even break up the combo, because if you're a good enough and smart enough player, you're not going to allow that to happen for it to get destroyed by mutinous or something like that, or whatever it may be. So it's just a very fast control deck with the with the win condition there. I know that we're going to get flamed to hell by this, but I mean, if it's not a control deck, then I ask the audience, what is it then? Aggro, OTK?
Because it's also not
combo?
really combo, like I was saying. Like, there is
Yeah.
no specific combo. It's just finish the quest, play some damage spells.
Yeah.
Like,
So the question is, right? If it's not control, what is it?
and I honestly don't know. And then this is what leads me into the discussion of the meta and Hearthstone in the future. Is this going to be the direction Hearthstone takes more decks in the future? Because they also did a direction similar to this with Warlock, right? But although, to be fair, Warlock is more of a control deck. It is mostly deal with minions on board and kind of damage yourself, unless you're playing the Zoo version, in which case that is actually aggro. But the other version that I was watching No Hands Gamer play not too long ago, and some other people, is like a control hand lock version with the quest. But anyway, the point is this the direction that Hearthstone wants to go? Control decks, in quotations, because they are control decks, but they're also not, and we've discussed this. So control decks, in quotes, is this what they want control decks to be? Something that control the deck or controls the board for a while and then just wins at the latest, like turn 8.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
Yeah. I just want to interject with this, though, that Zoo Warlock traditionally, don't get it wrong,
Has been control.
It's a control
It
deck.
has been a control deck, but now it's an aggro deck.
That's correct, right?
Like, it used to be control and used to control the board with your minions. Your health was a resource, and then you would just have more minions than your opponent because you'd life tap over and over again, have a little bit of healing in there, and eventually win the game.
Yeah.
But now it is aggro, finish the quest, kill them by turn 6 or 7 with Dark Glare, Stealer of Souls. And the Dark Glare nerf will make this a little bit harder, but I still think that it will be doable. But yeah, it used to be a control deck, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, and so what I'm driving at here is that the definition of control decks has changed. That's what it is. Is that Hearthstone has put control decks into a different genre. This is how they win. They win by turn 8 or turn 7 or turn, everybody wants to say they win by turn 5 or whatever, But
they don't actually win by turn 5. The card to win costs 5 mana. But
what I'm saying.
I see your
it's
point
like the exaggeration, right? Is that it would be. But so the game has taken a turn into a different direction. And like you said, is this the direction that Hearthstone is going? Well, clearly it seems to be, because this is what we have, right? It doesn't seem that way back in the day, we're talking, not way back in the day, but like when the last meta came out, the last expansion, we were saying, oh, it looks like Hearthstone is going towards more of this board control mid-range type of game. And then it didn't really happen. And then now we have where we are right now. So this is the direction they're going. So yeah, I think the answer to your question is yes, this is the direction that Hearthstone is going with control. This is the new control.
So yeah, basically I agree with everything that you're saying. I do think this is the direction that Hearthstone is going now. But I want to talk on your segment about whether or not this is good and the cons and the pros of what this could mean for the Hearthstone meta.